What's up, my pickles and picklets? It's Spontaneously Pickled here, and today I will be reviewing the October 16th episode of Monday Night Raw. So before I start this review, I really considered not actually doing it this week, as at the moment I want to really focus on growing my gaming channel, which is seeing very slow, but seeing some growth. However, watching the first 15 minutes of Raw, the product is just too hot not to review in some capacity, even if no one watches, you know. It also didn't help that I did spoil a few segments by going online, thanks to my chronically online self, which, you know, I can't have my inability to not be on social media. That's on me. But that's on me for forgetting that my Tuesday policy of not viewing social media. So that's definitely something I should have probably remembered. I will do less match by match and do more results review and promo reviews, I will say. Now, first of all, we start off Raw with a Sami Zayn. He comes out. Sami Zayn pretty much came out talking about how he feels bittersweet about Kevin Owens, but, you know, being switched to SmackDown while Jay is here, but remained optimistic because he thinks that he and Kevin Owens will also get the chance to shine on their own now. He also blamed the Judgment Day for making their time together hell, and feels annoyed that they are still in the title picture, which I understand. The Judgment Day then comes out and they brag about the fact that Sami Zayn is alone, and Priest mentions that now that Owens is gone, he would love to remove Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, and Jey Uso, and that he would love to also remove Drew McIntyre too, to which Balor and Rhea stopped him on that point. Perhaps this is in relation to the fact that Rhea was talking to McIntyre last week, I'm not sure. Rhea mentions how the Judgment Day wants to get rid of Zayn permanently, and they prep to attack him, but then Jey Uso comes out with 2 chairs, and then Judgment Day backs off. Afterwards, Zayn tosses the chair down and walks away from Jey Uso, leaving him a little bit confused in the ring. Next up, we have a segment with Jey Uso and Sami Zayn backstage. Basically, Jey comes out to check if Sami was good. Sami mentions that he needs space, but he does appreciate the help that, you know, Jay's help, and he wants them to be good, but he wants to also be he wants to be happy for Jay, but he just can't like help but feel a little bit like messed up, you know, and feel like that it should be Kevin Owens there having his back instead of Jey Uso earlier. He then mentioned that Owens not here because of Jay, and says that Jay has everything going for him. He has the titles, and he doesn't, and he has Cody, you know, as a friend. And Jay mentions that he still has him, and then he kind of walks off because in disappointment, because Sami was like not really working. Sami snaps for a bit, then he chases down Jay and apologizes to Jay and asks if they are good. Jay thinks he'll stand there for a delay, and then he says yeet, and then hugs Zayn and mentions that he's got something to calm that anger down. It was really a nice tone change seeing actually Jay caring for Sami, because for the whole bloodline side, we already know that Sami was trying his best to get on Jey Uso's good terms, but in this case it was the opposite. So it was really good to see a little bit of the payoff from all that work that he's been doing, so I really like that. Next up, we have Ricochet versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, I knew that Shinsuke would win, but Ricochet showed an amazing performance. Ricochet, first of all, attacked Shinsuke during his entrance, and it was cool to see them take it back to the back area, to the, I think they call it Gorilla, and that's very rare to see these days, in my opinion. Ricochet was also impressive as always in his offense, but he also showed a much more aggressive side, which was nice to see. And he did have control for the majority of the match, which was really cool. But Shinsuke was taking control out of nowhere with less attacks, but more impactful attacks, mostly relying on the use of weapons and the environment, which, you know, such as him pushing Ricochet off the top rope into the table during when he was about to go on the top rope, and then doing a Kinshasa for the win. Next up, we have a segment with Katana Chance, Kaden Carter, Tegan Knox, Nikki Cross, Chelsea Green, and Piper Niven. They were talking backstage, basically. Well, not really talking. The good guys were talking. So Chelsea comes in and interrupts the conversation between their faces and asks where Natalya is, and comments saying that shouldn't she be here looking for a naive rookie to manipulate. She then mentioned that unlike her, she found Piper Niven, but then Tegan mentions that she didn't find Piper Niven, Piper found her, which was kind of true, and kind of forced her to be a team member. Then they both gasped, like, oh, which was really, really hilarious. Chelsea then threats her not to cross her and says that she will do what Piper's going to do to Natalya tonight. Tegan mentions that the one thing that she learned from Becky is to never let anyone disrespect her, and ask her how quick she can hide behind Piper before she smacks her jaw. Then Chelsea says they have things to do, and she kind of runs off. And these Chelsea segments, they always have me dying laughing, so that was really funny. Next up, we have Piper Niven versus Natalya. Now, I knew that Piper was going to win, but Natalya was game showing her ground game, and, you know, giving Niven actually a little bit like of mat work, keeping on the mat for a bit, and, you know, that's really cool. But however, ultimately she wasn't able to get the win over Niven, though they did do a good job on Natalya, given that she has really not like won a whole lot, and they kind of made her look kind of formidable in this match, because at the end of the match, she almost beat Niven with the sharpshooter, but then, for whatever reason, Chelsea came on the name, I guess, to interrupt the referee just in case. And then by that time, Niven shoved her into Chelsea, which Chelsea fell down, and then she fell down, looking confused. And then Niven kind of like shoved her, like rolled her over, and then she did like the basement crossbody for the win. Chelsea tried to talk trash, but Natalya punched her, and then Niven beat her up. But then Tegan Nox came out to sneak the save, quickly disposing of Chelsea, and then they tried to double team Niven, but then Niven rolls out of the ring and they left. Next up, we have a segment with Judgment Day backstage. Priest mentions that part of him wanted to beat up JD McDonough, but he kind of felt bad seeing what Drew did to him, and mentioned that they need to beat up Drew to show that no one messes with the Judgment Day. Finn agreed, but then Dom got up saying, "Mommy says no one messes with Drew." And then Rhea walked in, and Damien scolded Rhea on where she was, and she mentioned that she was handling Judgment Day business. They then asked if she was ready for the match, and then Dom asked if he wanted him to come out with her, but she said that she can handle it on her own. And she needs to remind her division and everyone else that the Judgment Day is not to be messed with. Rhea is probably one of the strongest, most effective members in there anyway. Next up, we have a Seth Rollins promo. Seth shows confusion between McIntyre's words, wanting, saying that he wants about 100%, but then him not having his back when Priest jumped him from behind, but then coming to the rescue when Dom brought the briefcase. I think that makes quite obvious sense. He's protecting his investment, but doesn't care if you get beat up, but he doesn't want to jump you either, and he doesn't want to get involved in all this business unless it involves his. I get it, because once if Seth loses the title, then that does affect Drew. So yeah, I think that makes sense. Anyway, Drew mentions that he wants him at 100%, but doesn't want to babysit him for the next 2 weeks. Rollins mentions not to worry about him; he can handle himself. But is Drew handling his business on his own? And then he shows footage that, as I mentioned last week, by the way, ding, about Drew and talking to Rhea backstage. During, I think it was, I forgot who was talking, but it was somebody talking to Adam Pearce. I think it was Ricochet or something like that. And then asked Drew to elaborate. Drew says that he isn't a thirsty creep like Jey Uso, and said that the only thing he needs to worry about is himself. Seth tries to get into Drew's head, mentioning that he had a lot of big matches and a lot of big failures in all of them, and alluded to Drew possibly enlisting the Judgment Day to help, and warns him that dealing with the Judgment Day is a slippery slope. Drew then mentions that the last time they had a title match, he beat him, and mentioned that his losses came from interference, with the bloodline and everything like that. Seth then mentions to Drew to move on and get over the bloodline. It's done and over. Drew mentioned that he doesn't need a catchy song to get ahead, and now he's and how he mentioned how he carried the company when the world was in the global pandemic and everything like that. Seth then emphasizes with Drew and then about knowing how hard it is to get to the top of the mountain, but then he said that he's making excuses and mentioned that when he defeats him at Crown Jewel, he's gonna have no one to blame but himself. Next up, we have Ludwig Kaiser versus Johnny Gargano. Now, at one point in the match, Vinci tried to help Kaiser, but Kaiser shoved him off. But then he also made the save with the rake of the eyelash. However, Gargano's focus on Vinci costed him a really competitive match, which I thought they both had a really great offense. I really enjoyed the match, with Kaiser catching it with the kick, and then a really cool move, I guess that's his finisher, which I don't even know the name of. So if anybody knows, drop it down in the comments below. Next up, we have Indy Hartwell and Becky Lynch backstage with, oh my god, I cannot believe it. I'm so bad with the names sometimes. Sorry, I'm also kind of in a weird place right now, so bear with me. But anyway, I'm gonna just get to the main characters on this one, the people who were talking, because actually, what's her name? Was just kind of agreeing. The Pixie. I think I heard something to Pixie. Anyway, Indy scolds Becky about giving everyone a chance to the title except the woman who never lost the title. And Becky was like, you know what? I agree, and I'll talk to Pierce. And when she went to do so, she walked into Rhea, and they had a small stare down. So it was a very short segment. Next up, we have a segment with Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn backstage. Drew thanks Sami for stopping the potential fight last week between him and Jay. And then he mentioned that since he left the bloodline, Sami worked hard and stepped up as a leader around here in the locker room. Sami thanked him, but then Drew was like, I'm not finished. And then Drew says that he's also disappointed, though, how quickly he forgave Jay. Sami mentioned that he doesn't want to get between him and Seth, but agrees with Seth that he needs to move past the bloodline stuff and emphasize how hard it is to put the bloodlines behind him, but he has to. Drew then said he cannot relate because he has never been the champ. He said that basically Sami can't relate because he's never been a world heavyweight champion, and mentioned that he will never be a world champion the way he's going about changing allegiances every other day, like the win, and being everyone's friend. Sami then challenges Drew for a match next week, and then Drew agrees, noting that he will never back down from a fight. And he, tapped him on the shoulder in a kind way, but we all know that this is all the slow progression to Drew's heel turn. And Sami, you are gonna get destroyed. Rest in peace, man. Now we have Rhea Ripley versus Shayna Baszler. In the beginning of the match, Rhea cuts the short promo mentioning how all the women are trying to step up and no one can compete with her and she will always be on top. And I think one day the fans are going to start saying she's going to always be on top. Anyway, the match was such a good match, honestly. Baszler showed some dominance, but Rhea was not backing down. There was at one point that Baszler reversed like a riptide into like an armbar, which was really, really cool and unexpected it. Watching it, they both looked equally matched, actually, which I was really happy to see that they didn't make Baszler look weak, because we all know that I haven't watched it, but I've heard a lot of stories about Baszler being like super dominant in NXT. Though after the riptide spot, unfortunately, which Rhea slammed Shayna down, Nia Jax came down, of course, and then after that, like some of the other women came down, like Raquel Rodriguez, Zoe Stark, and everybody else pretty much coming out. And then the whole hell pretty much broke loose. Unfortunately, all of them got disposed of pretty fairly quickly, eventually leaving no one but Nia Jax and the ring with Rhea. But then, like before Rhea could do shit, she tried to clothesline Rhea, but then Zoe super kicked Jax, and then she fell into Rhea, and then Rhea lifted her up, but then Zoe landed a drop kick, and then she fell down on Rhea, and then after that, Zoe kicked Jax's ass to the side, leaving Zoe out there looking at the winner of the segment, which was really cool. Sadly, it made me feel really bad because Raquel was just dead after she got slammed into the stairs from Nia Jax. That was like she was just down from the beginning of the segment. She was out quick. So again, I'm not really a big fan on how weak they're making Raquel look. So that really sucks. So I really hope that they start to make her look strong again. Then we have a backstage segment with Becky Lynch and Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce and Becky were discussing making a match between her and Indy Hartwell official. Then Xia Li comes out upset, saying, "First Tegan, now Indy, what about Xia?" Becky said, "Well, we already got good 2 contenders, but if you want to be the third, just say the word." But then Xia says, "I will, but on my time." So like, what was the point of coming in and complaining? I mean, like, if you're gonna come on your time, then she just gave you the opportunity to come right away. So that was a bit weird. Anyway, afterwards, Becky and Pearce go on about how everyone wants a piece of the man, and then Pearce says, "Speaking of which," and then the camera pans to Jade Cargill. Now, I couldn't hear what happened because the fans were actually really too loud, but Pearce welcomed Jade to Monday Night Raw, so I guess it's official that Jade is on Monday Night Raw. Shortly after, the commentators pretty much confirm it. Again, remember I was talking about that a couple of videos ago, that the commentator's word is kind of important. That seems to confirm what the real story is. That's why it's always important to look at the commentators. They're part of the story. Next up, we have a segment with Jackie Redmond interviewing Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso. She asked Jay what happened between him and Sami Zayn. Jay mentions that he gets it, and he always has Sami Zayn's back. You feel me? Cody then jumped in saying, "Do you feel him?" And then mentioned that he and the Judgment, they think they can run the locker room where people are standing up, and they will defend the legacy of the titles tonight against the Judgment Day, and with his man right there. And he says, "Jay, say the word." And Jay says, "Yeet." Next up, we have a really amazing match a hard-hitting match too, between Gunther and Bronson Reed. Now, this match was absolutely insane. And I knew it was going to be a bang, but my God, I gotta say, this was literally a big man, hard-hitting match. Like, Gunther slowly worked a very good game on Reed, who had an answer for everything Gunther threw at him, and even manhandled Gunther at times. But finally, Gunther landed a splash for 2, and then in a fury of frustration, Gunther landed a powerbomb, showing his strength for the win. Now, at the end of the match, there was a really mutual look of respect between them, and man, I gotta tell you, Gunther feels like a final boss. Like he legit just nearly seems unbeatable, and I love it. The fans didn't know who to cheer, but to get behind in this match, but since they were 2 heels, and I was kind of worried about that too, like the fan interest, but they did somehow manage to make it work. Bronson Reed they did cheer for, but at the same time, the match was really cool. They didn't get like just an awesome chant, at least I didn't hear it, but I think they were very close to, like, I think I heard a few people like maybe starting out with, I could be wrong, but the match was awesome. It was a really hard-hitting match, and you know, a lot of hard-hitting matches can be a little bit, like I mentioned about Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez a couple of months ago, one of the pay-per-views, like which one? I think it was Payback. It was a hard-hitting match, but a lot more slow-paced. This was a hard-hitting match, was a fast-paced, and even the second match between Rhea and Raquel was fast-paced. So, like, not fast-paced, but like well-paced, if that makes any sense. So that was really cool. Next up, we have Jackie Redmond interviewing The Miz. She says it's good to see The Miz, but then The Miz complained that he wasn't shown into the final hour of the show, and then he mocked Sami Zayn, saying that he doesn't even deserve the spot, and that Pierce should get fired, and they should make Aldis the GM of both shows. Then all of a sudden, Nia Jax comes over and takes over the segment. She says, "Everyone hit her with the best shot, but she's still standing looking pretty, but she never hit anyone with her best shot, because if she does, they will stay down." And she slams the mic into Mike, and then he tries to continue the interview, but then Jackie Redmond says, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're out of time." Next up, we have a Adam Pearce and Rhea Ripley segment. I think he was on the phone with Becky, but Rhea comes in and cuts him off and says that they need to control he needs to control the women's division, and says that if he doesn't do it, she will. He says that we're not doing these things these days anymore, and announces that there's going to be a fatal fight between her, Nia Jax, Raquel Rodriguez, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark at the Crown Jewel pay-per-view. Rhea says that she will just eradicate them all. And then all of a sudden after that, as Rhea was leaving, Indus came in saying they need to talk, which is surprising. It's been a while since we've seen them. And I remember they didn't really get much of a reaction. Just before I was reviewing, they really didn't get much reaction from the crowd. So we'll have to see what happens, how they're going to make them look more impactful. Next up, we have an Alpha Academy segment. They're all working out and mentioned that Gable is going to go for the IC title, the Intercontinental title, and then they go for the Tag Team Champions. But then the New Day come in saying that if you're talking about Tag Team Champions, you must be talking about the New Day. They're getting into like this whole thing about who has the best hips, and then Chad proposes a challenge to them next week versus the New Day. So I'm guessing to see who might be the number one contenders or in contention. Then finally, Tozawa says "Arigato," and then starts doing a workout, causing a very funny segment of all of them dancing along to it. So that was really funny. Next up, we have a segment with Imperium backstage. Gunther They clap Gunther, cheering him on and congratulate him on the win. Gunther then gives them credit, but then mentions that only Kaiser does the credit because Vinci didn't do anything. And Vinci mentions, but I helped, but Kaiser said it doesn't matter. Said it didn't give him credit at all. He was just kind of ignoring him. He then mentions that he needs to, next week though, however, they need to make sure that Gargano isn't just beat up, but in a stretcher. So that's going to be an interesting match next week if they have it. I'm guessing they're going to have it, right? Last but not least, we have the Judgment Day versus Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso for the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. Now, I sadly saw the results of this match. This is what I referenced in the beginning of this video, so I couldn't fully enjoy it, especially because it perfectly reflected what I knew was going to happen, just like when with Trick Williams. Like I like variety, and having the same exact result happen every single time kind of kills the fun. So of course the Judgment Day cheated, which is fine, it happened, but then Sami Zayn did try to help, which was surprising, which is cool. But he was quickly disposed of. Then Cody got hit with a low blow outside the ring by Priest, and then put a Razor's Edge onto the announcer's table. Jay then tried to handle both of them, and he did quite a good job by himself for a while. But then, unfortunately, Jimmy came out of nowhere, super kicked Jay, giving Balor the chance to land the coup de grace for the win. Again, I'm all for not having record-breaking reigns, but it can also be annoying when the same pattern with the same group, if they lose, they win the next week practically. Like, I think a lot of people are also saying this on other channels too. Like, we're starting to get a little bit of Judgment Day fatigue. For instance, like, what happened with the JD thing? Like, I mean, I think I prefer Priest and Judgment. I think he's more of a dominant force to have than JD. But like, are we just gonna drop that story? I don't think Triple H is gonna drop it. But the long-term storytelling doesn't mean you have to stop the story completely. Start. You can have a gradual thing happen. So yes, there could be twists and turns in between it, but the impression that I got today is that the Judgment Day don't like JD all of a sudden. So it's like, guys, can we make up our mind? Like, stick to one thing. So that's a little bit disheartening, to be honest with you. But I do hope that they get things on track. That does actually complete this video, though. I do apologize for the more like simplified review. Like I said, I'm just keeping things simple. I might even stop doing the reviews for a while at least. Simply because, like I said, right now I'm not seeing any much traction with these. So it's kind of like, okay, maybe I should wait till I have a bit more of a following. And also, I have a lot of stuff that I'm going through this week, to be honest with you guys, and I do apologize. I'm not going to get into it right now, but there's a lot of stuff that's bothering me, and I just want to, take some time to focus on it, and I just don't have the energy. So I just want to give you guys a heads up that it's probably not going to be any reviews for a while, or if I do them, they're going to be few and far between. I'm going to be focusing on my gaming channel when I can. I just want to have a non-scheduled, like, just free thing, because like I said, if my channel grows, I'll be more scheduled and organized. But right now, since my channel is very small, I'm seeing limited growth. YouTube seriously does have me shadow banned. That they keep saying that they claim that they don't even respond to my things anymore on Twitter. By the way, you can follow me there. And it just seems like they just ignore my pleas for help. So I don't know. I'm sorry for this complaint, guys. It's hard. You want to content create, you want to do something big, but then you realize maybe it's just not for you. And that's where I'm starting to feel. Unfortunately, I don't know. Maybe not doing on a high scale at the moment, because I'm also a little nervous. I'm shy, not the most sociable pickle, and yeah, it's been hard. And I just really want to know, you guys. I'm gonna probably do a regular informal video soon, talking about this more on my main channel. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm just gonna end this video. Thank you guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and Spontaneously Pickled is out of here. I will see you guys soon. I hope, but we'll see. Anyway, bye guys.